Okay, I'm going to call to order the Zionsville Board of Parks and Recreation meeting for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. I'm going to start with a roll call vote, or roll call of who's here. Doug Tischbein.
Here.
Kimberly Lane.
Here, online.
Matt Milburn.
Here.
Chad Dilley.
Here.
Anna Shapaw.
Here.
Kent Perkins.
Here.
And Chris Barksdale, I'm here as well. And now approval of the October 8th, 2025 minutes. Did everybody get a chance to look at those? If you agree to a vote for approval, say aye.
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 Okay, approved. Public presentations or comments. Is anyone, there's nobody here. Is there anyone online? Okay, thank you. And so next is the Parks Foundation update. And I will give that. The Zionsville Parks Foundation held their second annual Parks and Pastries fundraising breakfast, and it was a huge success. The foundation honored the second recipient of their Acorn Award, which recognizes outstanding volunteer contributions to parks, green space, and wildlife in Zionsville. The 2025 honoree was a well-deserving Nancy Tickajon, who has served on the park board, was a founding member of what is now the Zionsville Tree Board, was instrumental in the formation of the Nature Center, and who continues to work for nature on a committee at Hoosier Village, which hosts Earth Day celebrations. A tree will be planted in Nancy's honor at the Zionsville Trailhead, next to the tree dedicated to last year's winner, Elizabeth Mueller. At Parks and Pastries, the foundation was proud to announce that it has reached the $1 million milestone of funds donated or committed for parks and green space in Zionsville. The foundation's 2025 annual fund campaign is underway, and they're thrilled to announce that 2 anonymous donors have each committed $25,000 in matching funds, so that donations will be matched 1-for-1 up to $50,000 through December of this year. So look for letters in your mailboxes next week. And then finally, the foundation donated $37,929 out of its Habitat Restoration Fund for a pond rehabilitation study by KCI at the Carpenter Nature Preserve. So they're doing great work, $1 million.
That's great.
Pretty great.
A lot of money.
Pretty cool. Okay, and we're ready to move on to staff reports. Jared, you're up.
Thank you, Chris. Good evening, Park Board. Just to highlight a couple of items from the superintendent report. Starting with maintenance, in the month of October, there were 408 work orders created and 455 completed. So with the month slowing down a bit in the season, we were able to catch up on a little bit of deferred maintenance throughout the year. Of those 408, 288 were preventative and 120 were reactive. 2 of our skill techs, Skill Tech Hut and Skill Tech Harmon Sayer, received their Certified Playground Safety Inspection credential. So that is a pretty intense test and multi-day training to receive that CPSI certification. And with that certification, it is the best practices agreed upon with the industry for surveying and upkeep of our playgrounds. So now we have a couple of more registered technicians in-house. The natural resource team planted 34 trees in October. Many of those are memorial trees. They targeted Japanese hops in Starkey, which is an invasive vine that is continuing to grow. And I wanted to give a special shout out to the Boone County Invasive Cooperative and the Future Farmers of America. October 27th, 40 FFA members descended onto Carpenter Nature Preserve and helped us remove heaps of invasive woody materials from around the maintenance barns. Just seeing 40 students in action were able to do the work that our team would have to take weeks to do. So really knocked out a significant portion of that invasive population, which they replanted that day with native seed bombs. So just a small step in converting the preserve to its pristine state, and I wanted to send that accolades out appropriately. Our Big 4 rail trail counter had 15,346 counts in the month of October. 5,698 of those were cyclists and 9,648 were pedestrians outside of Town Hall here. And Blyce Edwards, the muralist artist, returned to the Zionsville Road Trailhead to make repairs to the Trailhead mural. That was a donation from Zionsville Parks Foundation originally. The paint utilized with the original mural had issues adhering to the concrete, so they've used a more appropriate deck paint Can't even tell the difference from the original mural to what they've reinstalled. So appreciate their assistance in that touch-up on our mural. Over to our capital projects, we have closed out on the Turkey Foot Bridge rehabilitation project as punch list items were completed by Morphe Construction. The project wrapped up 2.6% under budget. That's approximately $15,620 under budget. So celebrating that partnership, it was a very successful project with MCI, and we look forward to working with them in the future on future capital projects. Mulberry Fields, the doors and exterior brick have been completed. The contractor, Structure Midwest, are working on some of the interior fixtures now. We anticipate a owner's walkthrough on November 25th, at which point we'll create the punch list, and we are still on target for a December substantial completion. So as that project moves along, the moment it's appropriate to open up those restrooms to the public, we will. No concerns with that project wrapping up with the end of the year. On to Carpenter Nature Preserve. Matt Kahn has made significant progress on the site, stoning in both the rustic trails as well as the paved trails, and they should be paving those accessible trails this week. The Prairie Pavilion block has all but gone up, and they have begun working on the roof structure. There is one noted potential delay with the project, and that's as it is related to the top coat that would go on the parking lot entrance drive and parking lot itself. So with that, it is a 2-lift application where there was a base layer that they've kind of drove on all project long, but that top coat really does seal it in, provides a better finished product. But because the aggregate is smaller, it actually has challenges with the colder temps that we're experiencing now. So there is a potential that that final paving might be delayed till the spring when the asphalt plants open back up. So we will continue to watch that, but we are still anticipating substantial completion in December, and then we will closely watch that May 1st project completion date. And finally, the Lincoln Park BOT project. Doug and I met with Envoy for a kickoff meeting for the project and began some initial scoping discussions. Currently, Structure Midwest and Envoy are working together to reduce costs and come up with creative value engineering solutions to get us the project to a price point that we can accept, and then we'll have that resolution updated before this board as those final cost maximums are realized. And that is all from the superintendent report.
Any questions or comments from anyone?
A couple things, Jared. One, anytime your PMs are better than your CMs, so your preventive maintenance is better than your corrective maintenance. That's a great ratio to have. So keep up that good work. And I do love seeing that data. So, but kudos to the team on that. In terms of the top layer at Carpenter, like it's still functional, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been in that situation before. We've actually opened commercial buildings without having that final layer on, and we would just line it because it's still functional. It's just not ideal. You got to look at some tripping hazards, but that doesn't give me too much agita. About Lincoln Park, it's pretty much non-functional at this point, right? Because we did some demo prior to. Okay. When do we think we'll have timeline of that project? And because when you drive by it, it looks a little rough as you drive by, and it's non-usable, right? We got a little head on the demo before we had the project.
Yeah, so as a cost savings measure, we moved some of that demo in-house, and
Yep.
our original timeline would have probably started the project just about now, but our substantial completion was always going to be fall 2026. We're still tentatively on that timeline, but it looks like construction is more likely to start in February should the scoping period go well. So it is a little bit of an eyesore right now. We do have barricades around any of the hazards, but more or less, Lincoln Park is not really the most friendly park at this time, unfortunately.
So my takeaway that if I talk to anybody in the community, it would have been non-usable even if we had stayed on track with our prior construction schedule.
It would have been done at that time?
It would have been non-usable had we had a project that was financially feasible at that time.
Correct. The only
Yeah.
difference might have been that the construction fence would have totally wrapped the project by now,
Got it.
and
Okay.
nobody would have been allowed. But there's still usable green space in there,
Okay.
avoiding the barricaded areas.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mindy with the Recreation Services report.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Evening.
All right, to wrap up our October, we had 978 Nature Center walk-ins. The biggest thing for us in October was we had a lot of private group programming. So our Nature Connections kicked off for the new school year. So we were out seeing Eagle, Pleasant View Elementary, and Trailside. Boone Meadow we did see this month in November. So those were a lot of them. Another kind of an addition to us that we've never worked with before, we actually got to work with West Clay out of Carmel Clay Schools and Town Meadow Elementary. So kind of doing the outreach that the board approved a couple years ago. We kind of waited on that till we had a vehicle with the trail hopper to actually get out to some of those. So it was really nice to have some Carmel schools. So two of those schools, the West Clay schools actually came out to us, to Overly Warman Park, and then we did an outreach program to Town Meadow Elementary. So they all enjoyed it. They already said that they're going to book again for next fall. So it's a nice thing to add to that one. Just another couple highlights for programs. Our PEEPS program is still going very strong. The October program filled quickly and wrapped up. November program is already full and had started up last week. So, and then in October we wrapped up our Park and Play series with the Creek Stomper before she went to winter storage. With two Park and Plays. One of them was during fall break, and both were very well attended. And then, of course, end of October, we had our two big special events. We had Fright Nights for 3 nights out at Maple Lawn Farmstead, which is a fundraiser for Maple Lawn. And then we had our popular Trick or Trees event, which we did sell out. We sold 400 tickets for that event, and we had 717 people actually join us. It was a great morning to be out there, and it's a great program. So we ended up, covering all of our costs and making a profit, which is what we want to see, because then we can utilize that funding for other programming in the future. And just two other big things that kind of happened with our staff. One, our naturalist, Molly Schrock, she received her Certified Heritage Interpreter through National Association of Interpretation. So that's a higher-end certification that naturalists and museum staff and things can get, showing that they know kind of the basics of leading a very professional program. So she joins myself and naturalist Rachel Felling with having that certification on staff. And then I recently was actually awarded a scholarship for the 2026 Revenue Development and Management School. So I was one of 2 that actually got that scholarship. So we will be seeing a refund of my school fees that we just paid. So a nice thing to save a little money for the department to use somewhere else. So that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
Good work.
Congratulations on the
Thank you.
scholarship.
That's cool.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Mindy. Okay, now we've got new business, and Jared is going to present Resolution 2025-06, Zionsville Park and Recreation Department 2026 fee schedule.
Thank you. So up on the screen on the left-hand side, we have the 2025 fee schedule, the existing one, and then on 26 is the proposed change. The majority of these changes, we're utilizing our formula with the goals listed in our financial sustainability policy for our cost recovery. So just taking a deeper dive into the true costs of operating our park system and many of the services we provide, and reflecting that with our cost recovery goals, whether it's for a community use or community and individual use, or individual use, as we discussed the past 2 months. So looking at the comparison, in 2025, the resident rate for garden plots was $20 for a 4x8, $25 for the 20x20 plots. Those were the same for non-residents. The proposed rate for 2026 is $35 for a 10x10 plot in the ground, or the 4x8 raised beds, and for a 16x16 frame plot or a 20x20 in the ground plot at Elm Street Green, they would be $40 for the season, keeping the same reservation deposit and cleaning fee charge. This truly just anticipates the cost of the utility for the water, as well as the maintenance work orders we have dedicated to servicing the gardens throughout the year. Moving on to shelters, historically, we had $50 for a half-day rental and $100 for a full-day rental, with differing costs for non-residents. We've actually looked at our usage and are kind of taking this as an enterprise approach, having both a weekday rate and a weekend rate, to further recover our costs associated with this individual use of our park system, and then reinvesting those funds both in capital replacement and supporting our programs. So the new rate for weekday half-days would be $50, remain unchanged. Full day would still be $100. Weekend rates would be $75. And then for nonprofits on the weekend, it would be $25. So currently, we waive all shelter fees for nonprofits. We would continue to do that during the week when most of them meet, but if they had an event on a weekend, we would recover a portion of that. Weekend full day would be $150. Weekend nonprofit full day would be $50. So Premier Day rental, which would be a full day rental, is listed at $200. This is primarily for Lincoln Park after it's opened up. So understanding that you're not really only getting the gazebo, but basically the whole grounds of Lincoln Park, that's kind of an elevated reservation. With that, we would likely include a few parking spots that we would cone off when we had those events to make it easy for their day of. So charging a premium for that additional service, but also the fact that it's the entire park that would be reserved at that point, as it is today. We would look at potentially having a lower tier of that Premier Day rental for Elm Street Green's upper area, in which they would receive some of that upper parking as well. And also in collaboration with our cultural district, we have the opportunity to rent the existing chairs for these events as well. So looking at the market there and just pricing them appropriately for $2 a chair for residents and $2.50 for non-residents. Dog park, we're actually already meeting our cost recovery goals for that, so none of those price points have changed. Sports fields, for a 4-hour reservation, the adjustment would be from $5 per field up to $25 per field. 4-hour reservation with lights would be $65 per field. Full day, $50 per field, and full day with lights, $90. So again, that is actually looking at the true work orders we've had, as well as how we want to improve the level of service for our sports fields. That's including proactive turf management with overseeding, aeration, and fertilization, and anticipating those costs into that new price point. And pickleball courts, currently, we really only reserve those for nonprofits or fundraiser tournaments, but the old rate was $5, and the new would be $10 for local nonprofits, and then $15 for outside of Zionsville nonprofits. Merchandising, just having kind of a catch-all for the items we would have within the concession stand, not to exceed $100. Our food trucks, 10% of event sales, and then our vendor spaces for our special events is $35 a space. The memorial program, the price points will stay the same, already reflecting the cost recovery goals for that. Special events programming, general nature programming, and recreation, not to exceed $150 an hour. We're currently not offering skydiving, but should that happen, maybe that price point would be appropriate. But again, we'll continue to utilize the formulas to meet our cost recovery goals and price those appropriate. For our school programming, whether that is public schools, home schools, or scouts, if it's at the Nature Center or in a Zionsville park, that would be $7 for each participant with a $75 minimum. Outreach programs like what was mentioned with the Carmel schools would be $75 flat minimum. Nature Connections, which is our immersive multi-visit program that's both in the classroom and out in a Zionsville park, would be $8 per student. And the traveling teacher trunk would be $15 for that rental. Our camps would go up from $8 per hour to $13 an hour. And that, again, reflects the true costs of our staffing and supplies for those events. Birthdays at the Nature Center, 336. Outreach birthday parties, 250 when they're added onto a shelter. And then our Creek Stomper rentals for events would be $200 an hour with a minimum of $400. So happy to answer any questions related to the fee schedule. We did also look at the market, and our costs are primarily still below our area park systems and what they offer. So even though we're using a formula to dictate our pricing, it's still appropriate with the overall market.
A question about the pickleball courts and how that stuff works. So if you just go and play pickleball, you don't pay, right?
Correct.
You just only if you reserve the.
Yep.
Okay.
And we don't really allow just residents to reserve a court at this point, and it's worked out pretty well with the queuing system. But if there is a nonprofit or, scouts that want to reserve a couple courts, the schools, we allow that.
Jared, I like your methodology, at least with respect to focusing on cost recovery. I'm curious whether the changes were just because our costs have gone up, or were we far under last year? Or is it just sort of a maintenance change, or did we realize we're not recovering our costs well at all?
The latter. So our price points were pretty arbitrary, and that's not uncommon for many Parks and Rec entities. But as we are truly looking at how can we better provide services to our community, realizing we can't do it all anymore. We have to select what we're good at and focus on those. That's where that financial sustainability philosophy kind of came. So the majority of our tax dollars are going into just providing the parks. And as that use becomes more individualized, that's where we're going to recover more of those true costs or beyond. So yeah, our work order system definitely helped identifying how many hours we're putting into each of these amenities and reflecting that appropriately.
So the costs are related, overall costs for each park, sort of, not the cost for a single event. We're not trying to recover the cost for one individual event. It's more, how do we estimate usage and recover the cost to maintain this park?
Yeah,
for the course of the year overall?
Holistically over the calendar year. So for the dog park, we looked at all of our work orders associated with that, the mowing, divided that by 365, and that's still within that price point.
Okay.
Is it fair to say, Jared, it was a mix of just fundamental good stewardship and also kind of SB1 spotlighted how we need to continue to be good stewards. So I think a lot of these conversations, if I go back a few months ago, SB1 really put this into overdrive, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's a key question of, I don't see any issues with any of the fees here. And I think, should we get concerns from the community, I think we can be reminded that real estate taxes should be flat or down because of SB1. And because of that, the formula is changing to where we receive less revenue, and we've got to continue to provide the services for the community.
It's not really.
And the other, at a previous meeting about if there's people who are not able to pay these fees, that we would potentially have some sort of scholarship program or something. Is that still?
Yes, so we had a scholarship program for summer camps, which were our most expensive item previously. We're going to explore that again this year. We're actually working with the foundation right now on a subsidy for some of these price points so that we can ease them in. But the board this evening is kind of approving the overall maximums.
Any other questions? Okay, does anyone want to?
I make a motion to approve the updated fee schedule.
Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Doug Tischbein,
Yes.
Kimberly Lane,
Yes.
Matt Milburn,
Yes.
Chad Dilley,
Yes.
Anna Shepa. Yes. Kent Perkins.
Yes.
And I say aye as well. So that motion passes. Thank you. And next up in new business, we have the Parks Department Pheasant Forever Incorporated Memorandum of Understanding.
One last MOU for the board for this year. So again, it takes a village to take care of what we have. So looking for partners to help us, especially as we take on such a large project as Carpenter Nature Preserve. So about 2 years ago, Pheasants Forever became interested in the project and the opportunities it had. We share values on conservation of grassland bird species habitat. So they are willing to lend their expertise with their in-house scientists, their volunteers, and their meetings to help us combat invasives, restore natural areas, and improve education on conservation throughout the park. So this MOU outlines a couple of those terms, allowing PF and QS, it's kind of the same entity, to maintain, improve, and promote areas within Carpenter Nature Preserve. With approval, they would be allowed to organize and self-perform those tasks with hand tools, much like we allow Boone County Invasive Cooperative. And all that would be coordinated through me on projects. They may provide technical and programmatic assistance to our Parks Department. So whether that's a program from Mindy's team that has a speaker from Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever, and other opportunities like that. They can provide educational content that could be captured both in those programs as well as in signage on the site. All signage would be reviewed by me on final content and logos and all that. And it would fit into our overall interpretive signage plan for Carpenter Nature Preserve. They would be allowed to advertise, develop, and promote their events and their sponsorships at Carpenter and other park locations. Again, that would be coordinated through me, and if it necessitated a special event permit before this board or the town's special event policy, they would follow those steps still. We would waive any shelter reservations, permit fees that we have in-house, but they still might be liable for the special event fee from the town. All volunteers would sign up with and have a waiver on file before assisting with any restoration work or invasive control. And this is not legally binding, but both parties agree to release in the event something bad did happen. So again, just because this would be more than a one-off volunteer event, we wanted to capture it in a memorandum of understanding and give them a few liberties to help us out at Carpenter.
I think this is great. I think that's one of the best things we have going on at Carpenter is the preservation of wildlife and habitat, especially as we look at all of those developments north coming online. And I wonder where, all that wildlife is going, and knowing that they'll have a place at Carpenter is lovely. And if we have a group like this who's willing to even help us further that cause, I think that's great. So unless anybody has any questions, I motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, you need to do a roll call.
Oh, we do?
vote. Yeah.
Okay. Doug Tischbein,
Yes.
Kimberly Lane,
Aye.
Matt Milburn,
Aye.
Chad Dilly,
Aye.
Anna Shapaw,
Aye.
Kent Perkins, and I say aye as well. Motion passes. Old business.
No old business, but we can move on to other board-related items if you'd like.
Great.
Yep.
Let's do that.
So on the screen, if promoted, is the meeting schedule for 2026 for the Zionsville Board of Parks and Recreation, sticking to that second Wednesday, except for November, where we would adjust for Veterans Day. But this is just proposed. It'll be officially adopted by Town Council in their next meeting, but just letting the community know.
Great.
Okay, that's all for that. Okay, moving on to claims. Any questions about the claims?
I didn't have questions about the claims. Just, I saw your overall budget. It seems like we're tracking appropriately. It should come under spend this year, correct? Yep.
We anticipate some underspend, absolutely.
Yep. How much of that is like a delayed project, like a Lincoln Park, versus just overall good stewardship?
I mean, there are dozens of lines that are underspent, just as we watch things as the year comes to an end, and those will just revert back to our general fund for parks.
Okay.
But the largest portion is holding on to those
Deferred
Lincoln
projects.
funds.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was my take on the budget. Seems like good stewardship, but don't shoot off confetti guns so much because we're gonna have to spend that money eventually, right?
Yep.
And the budget for next year, is that approved by town council? Okay.
The DGLF is, so our
Okay.
tax-tied budget is approved.
Okay. That would be maybe good to review in December. Have we reviewed that already or no?
No, this body has not.
Okay. I think that would be helpful to review in December and just kind of cross what did we have last year versus what do we have going this next year, and what decisions, if any, need to be made based off of what we've been allocated. And then have a candid conversation of based off of what resources we have, what can we realistically do? And is there any pivots in strategy we need to consider? Is that helpful?
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay.
Motion to approve the claims?
I will motion to approve claims.
Second.
All in favor?
Sorry.
Roll call.
It's a roll call again. Okay, Doug Tischbein,
Aye.
Kimberly Lane,
Aye.
Matt Milburn,
Aye.
Chad Dilly,
Aye.
Anna Shapaw,
Aye.
Kent Perkins,
Aye.
and Chris Barksdale, say aye as well. And that is all we have for tonight. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Beat me to it.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
All right.